Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by the British Institute of Kitchen, Bedroom and Bathroom Installation. My name is Louis Mendes. Hope you guys are all well on your Sunday morning as we will get ready to look back at our final home game of the season, the 1-1 draw with Shrewsbury Town at the Valley yesterday. Joining me to look back at that classic, top right, Nathan Muller. How you doing, Nath?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. Fully recovered from yesterday. I had a nice little kip. Yeah. Knee was a bit sore last night, which prevented me from partaking in extracurricular activities down the River Isle House. But I see you boys had a good time out there. So yeah, good day all round.
Certainly was, yeah. Obviously, Nathan referring to the Upbeats walk that all three of us on the show did yesterday. Actually, also Benji Cloak joining us at the bottom of the screen. How's your fires holding up, Ben?
Oh, my fires are all good. Thank you very much. No, we did have a lovely few drinks down the River Isle House, didn't we? That was very nice to recover from our 9-mile walk, and maybe some of the marathon people will go in there today after their run. That would be nice.
Nice. Yeah, hopefully after, and not when they're at like the 4-mile point and just pop in for a quick one down the River Ale House. I mean, as tempting as it is in there. We had a good night after as well. On today's show, we'll look back at the game. We'll hear the goals shortly. We've got interviews, as always, with the Addicks boss, Nathan Jones. A lot of talk about George Dobson in there, as I'm sure you can imagine after his goal yesterday. We'll also speak to Conor Coventry. He was the one put up for interview after the game yesterday, so I had a quick chat with Conor after yesterday's 1-1 draw. Later on in the show, we're hoping to hear from a Charlton fan, Gerry, who joined us on the walk yesterday. Is set to be our guest fan. Guinness Addick, he's well known as on forums and that and online. So yeah, Gerry did the Upbeats walk as well. He's going to join us later on. Want to hear from you guys as well. I'm wanting to everyone in the chat. Sam was the first one in there asking how the legs are feeling this morning. Mine aren't too bad. My ankle's a little bit sore, but yeah, we'll see. All Hell Let Loose is in there. Murray's in there. Dudley. Gary Ludacris is in there, presumably the rapper. Glenn is in there. Padders. Andrew and JM Murray's all asking loads of questions. Let us know what you made of yesterday's game. Let us know how you felt when Dobbo got that goal in front of the covered end and what could be his last home game. Every time we say that, I think it probably is, but who knows? You'll hear what Nathan Jones had to say on the matter later on in the show. Let us know, Nathan, then, before we hear the goals, your thoughts on yesterday's game. Obviously 1-0 down at half-time. Dan Udo putting me to shame once more after the opinions I've held of him over the years. He always goes against us now. But yeah, Dobbo got the leveller at the start of the second half. How did you see the game overall?
Yeah, off the first half, obviously we changed shape, didn't we? Which I think took all of us by surprise, really. Even I think Paul Hurst was surprised by it. Which obviously you're trying to create an overload with Tayo and Thierry on that left hand side. It just wasn't working. We just sort of weren't really getting any joyous, and then we reverted back. Sloppy, soft goal again, which we've said number of times this year. They're not really doing any favours for themselves, are they? Really trying to get new contracts and stuff for the people in defence. But yeah, and then obviously a much improved second half. Bit apt really for George to score the first and last goal of for us, for this season against Lorient and against Shrewsbury. So yeah, improved, but again, it was a game that I don't think we deserved to win. I don't think we deserved to lose. Game 2 halves. But yeah, it's just after the game, it's just like we've got to get next weekend out of the way, and then we can focus on winning the Euros, can't we? So yeah, it'll be a nice little release to get this out of the window, out of the system this season, because we're nearly drawn nearly half of our games or whatever. This is insane. But yeah, bit of a mare game, but it's got a proper end of season feel now because it is the end of the season.
Yeah, you keep saying that, but we have still got one more game. The amount of people when I went into the pub last night, pretty much everyone said, "Oh, thank God that's over." And I was like, "Well, we've still got a game next week. We've still got 3 more shows to do. It's not over till the fat lady sings." And she ain't even warming up her vocal cords for another 7 days at least. Right, let's have a listen to the goals then from Charlton TV. Steve Brown, who was alongside Terry Smith.
Ball into the channel, and Bloxham will be the first to get there as well. Small trying to get back, but Bloxham will pick it up. Right corner of the penalty area. Left to Udo. There's a foot in from Coventry, but Udo's still there and he finishes. Coventry got a foot in, but nobody reacted to it other than Udo, who drilled it underneath the leg of Eisted, and Shrewsbury have the lead.
Yeah, and Udo is their main threat. You know, that's his ninth league goal of the season. I don't know how he managed to get a second bite of the cherry there. I thought we had that covered off, but just like the goal last week, we just don't defend in the manner that supporters would like to see, that I would like to see. It's all a bit too soft. You know, he shrugs off a challenge, the ball wriggles free, no one goes to ground to make a block. I mean, Bloxham getting in down the right-hand side with a straight ball. You know, that's the first question mark. How does he get in behind our defence on a straight run with a straight ball and nobody's covered it off? And then you look at the defending in the centre of the goal and you just go, it's just too nice. It's just too soft and too...
Gets on the ball, and it's a lovely pass from Wickham into Dobson. He's into the penalty area, George Dobson. Round the keeper, can he finish? Oh, yes, he can! The Charlton skipper, within a minute of the restart, has brought Charlton back in the game.
Well, that is an outstanding through ball from Conor Wickham, but it can only be an outstanding through ball when somebody's willing to make those runs from deep, those runs that get beyond a back line. They're unselfish runs. It's a wonderful connection in terms of it's a lovely little ball inside first time from Alfie May to Wickham. It's a great first touch. The timing of Dobson's run is absolutely superb. He's found with equally as good a ball from Wickham, and then the composure on the finish is just outstanding. He drives across his defender so the challenge can't come. He's got the awareness and foresight to go round the keeper, who's committed to narrowing the angle, and then slots it back into an empty net. It's a wonderful move all round with a superb finish from the captain.
There we go, that's the goals then from Charlton TV. Yeah, great to hear Dobbo on the score sheet. On, like we say, what is potentially his last game, Ben. I really wish we could give a bit more clarity. Yesterday, I mean, I still think it will be, but we don't know for certain. But that, if that is to be his last appearance at the Valley, Ben, what a way to round it off with a good finish, taking it around the keeper, scoring in front of the covered end, and that photo that I imagine will become a bit of an iconic one with his arms aloft in front of the supporters.
Yeah, it felt like when Chris Powell scored that final goal when Pardew just chucked him on up front, because whereas obviously Dobbo does score a few more than Chris Powell, it was an uncharacteristic position for him to be in, wasn't it? And he just took it so well. It was a striker's finish, right foot, round the keeper, left foot finish, lovely ball from Conor Wickham. And yeah, it was probably easily the nicest moment of the day. Probably up there for the season. It was depressing. I was talking to people afterwards. We were trying to go, what was our best moments this season? Because, I mean, at least last year we had Brighton, we had the Man United game, we had Dobbo's last-minute goal against Ipswich, and you go, oh, okay, yeah, they were fun moments, but I can't think of many fun moments this season. Maybe even the first game when Dobson scored that goal, and we had that real vigour about us thinking, oh, this is it this season, we're going places, but... Yeah, mate, I mean, it's a crazy situation, isn't it? One of our best players this season, a consistently good player in this league, top of the charts for stats in terms of tackles in this league. You've got a proven player in there that you can build the side around for next season. I'm not going to sit here and slate Conor Coventry because I think he's come in at a difficult time. He's done all right, but so far, what have we seen from him to make you go, oh, okay, I don't mind Dobson's game because Coventry looks good and he's younger. So yeah, it's a horrible situation to be in because not only does he lead from the front on the pitch, I think he's just a lovely guy off it as well, and the fans have really warmed to him, haven't they? So with the continued songs yesterday asking him to stay for 4, 5, 6 years. But yeah, we'll have to see, eh? I mean, next week, obviously, after the Wycombe game, let's see how things move in terms of with the players. Now we know what's going to happen in terms of our position, what league we're going to be in, etc. So, yeah, I wish he stays. I really do. But as you said, it doesn't look promising from like the end yesterday, waving goodbye, etc. from him.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew says the fans made it clear what they think of Dobbo's exit. I hope that Andy Scott was listening. All hell let loose says, couldn't we just knock any fee for Dobbo out of Scott's redundancy payment? Yeah, and Paul says, good to hear Nathan Jones making clear he wants Dobbo to stay. So we'll hear that interview later on in the show, and you can hear exactly what he said. We talked about it a lot yesterday. It was the main discussion point. In the press conference. Joseph says unbeaten run continues, but there's still work to be done. Excited for next season, hoping for some new key signings, and hope to sign Dobbo back, but can't see us paying to correct our own mistake. And that is the big question. I mean, the covered end was singing pay the fee, sign him back, or something along those lines. Nathan, at one point I heard during the second half, it's quite clear what I think. Not everyone, but what I feel that the majority feeling amongst fans is they don't want him to go, and they'd like to see the club move heaven and earth for him to stay. But it just comes down to how realistic that is. And like I say, I asked Nathan in the interview, which we'll hear shortly, what the mechanics of such a deal would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. Because I mean, if we're going to pay the fee and get him back, firstly, it's going to make obviously people involved in the recruitment look a bit silly in terms of a bit of egg on their face, really, that you actually have to buy your own player that was actually yours. But then in terms of if I think about the money side of things, yeah, you're paying a fee, but it depends. Would that transfer fee be more that we'd pay to them, be more than the package that we would have given Dobbin if we just extended his contract? Like if he got more wages and a sign-on fee, let's say, just for the sake of argument, say that was 100 grand, it would be more than that, but just for ease. But then we pay 150 to this Hungarian club, then it works out that it ain't that bad, and we just look a bit silly. So I think there's a chance that can happen for sure, because it all depends on the mechanics within it and the financials. But I still think the Hungarian club, if they hold all the cards because of this pre-contract, then they're going to be demanding quite a hefty fee. Why wouldn't they? I would if I was in their position. But I'm just, with none the wiser, and can't really say much. But I just can't see it happening because of the whole how we all look on the club. It just makes us look a bit cowboyish. That you've got your captain that's going to go on a free, you let him go, and then a couple of weeks later you go, actually, no, we actually want you now, and then we'll actually buy him back off you. It's just a bit weird, but I'd like him in and around the place. I think there is definitely, you know what I mean? I would like him in and around the place, but I think it's that area of the pitch isn't the problem. I think we need players around Coventry and Dobson. Whether I still don't know if they play together, but because I still think we need a creative player in there. But I don't know. The answer is, I suppose we probably ain't going to know until later throughout the summer. But that's the question everyone's wanting, and I don't think we're going to get an answer pretty soon.
Yeah, the thing with Dobbo as well and his position, I think Nathan has clearly tried to mould him into a slightly different play. He keeps talking about how he's better on the ball than a lot of people realise. We're seeing him making more runs into the penalty area, I'd suggest, since Nathan's come in than he would have done previously. Although obviously he had started to do that this season anyway, because he got that goal on the first day. It would certainly indicate, I think, if George were to stay, it would obviously indicate that shifting power dynamic in terms of recruitment at the club, because Nathan, I think, has spoken, that the fact he's coming as manager and not head coach and all that sort of stuff shows the sort of control he wants to have over the way the club operates and that sort of stuff. So when this was his very first decision was to not sell George Dobson in February when the Hungarian transfer window was still open. So who knows? But Murray says that the club has undoubtedly messed this up. I mean, Sam said he spoke to Dobbo in the car park and just asked if this was his last home game, and he just said, we'll wait and see. But obviously, you can't really expect the player to give too much away at this stage. Either way, I asked him, because he scored yesterday, I did ask, was there any chance we can... And he was like, I don't think they're going to want us... it's not going to happen at the moment. That's just where we're in. JM says, to be fair, buying Dobbo back after releasing him wouldn't be the first time. We spent, was it 200 or 300 grand on Anike? I think it was 300 grand if I remember rightly on Anike coming back. And yeah, David said we let Chucks go for free, then bought him back, and why not with Dobson? Well, I guess obviously that was under the last regime. That was under Sandgaard and his son Martin, who obviously weren't exactly renowned for their decision-making processes. So maybe the club will see that they've done that before with someone else and thought, well, yeah, but that wasn't clever. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, Robert's saying how much is he worth? That's a tough question because I'm not in the business of sort of valuing footballers, but I always how much would we have to splash out to get him back is a good question. And all hell let loose says if Dobbo says to the hungry lot that he wishes to stay at Charlton, would they, the hungry lot, be happy with a player who doesn't want to be there? But I still think they would hold all the cards in terms of like, well, they could still charge us a certain fee, I guess, and then yeah, I mean it's an interesting situation. I don't know. I don't know if George would turn around and say I'm not going to play for you, because obviously then there'll be contractual dispute. So it'd be a tough one. The game itself yesterday, Ben. I mean that first half, goodness me. As Nathan mentioned, there was a switch in formation which was pretty quickly dropped after we went a goal down. But the goal had been coming, and don't forget this is Shrewsbury again, not a team renowned for their goal scoring attributes, but they'd already had a couple of chances. That geezer sort of Wale who headed against the post from on the line somehow, and he missed a real good chance in the second half. He looked all right on the ball at times actually, but his heading's not really up to it. So it'd been coming, but I mean the goal we conceded, Ben, I watched it back again this morning, just sort of zooming in on what actually happened. So you're seeing, so Small I think probably might have done better stopping the cross on the left. Hector tries to make a challenge on Udo and just misses out. Conor Coventry does come in and prods it into space, but then the reaction time from like the likes of Gillespie to stop that shot was so slow, and Udo it been quite tightly marked when the ball first went to him in the penalty area, all of a sudden had loads of space to shoot across the keeper and in. And it, like I say, it had been coming, and it was a defensive backline that looked really, really nervous in that first half.
That was a shocking first half, wasn't it? And that goal topped it off. As you said, I think Small, it was a bit too easy getting down the line, cutting it back. But I don't know what Hector is trying to do there. I mean, it's like a lunge across the player. It wasn't an attempt to get the ball. I'm not sure what he was doing. But ultimately, you got a striker in Udo who had three players around him, Coventry, Gillespie and Thomas. He managed to jink in and out of them and put it across the goal and in. That's pathetic. I mean, that whole first half was pathetic. And surprise, surprise, they nearly scored from a corner. Hey, what did we talk about in the week, how rubbish we are at defending corners. And that header across goal, I could not believe how we left him at the far post, their big man, to head it across goal. And how on earth did that guy miss at the far post? It was as if he was right next to the post and headed it against the post. I mean, it was comical, but embarrassing at the same time. It's like, what do we do defending corners? It's just shocking. Don't know how we got away with that. But as I said, I mean, the first half, at the back, we were shocking. And it wasn't just the defending. It was the distribution from the back. I was watching Thomas in that first 5 minutes, and he gave the ball away 3 times with no pressure on him. And like a couple of times just booed it out of play. And it's like, how are we setting these standards going forward? Hector as well. Few long balls set forward. And it's like, I was sat next to this chap, but I don't know if it was the first time he came. And he was literally going, he couldn't believe the style, like these players, what they were doing. And I mean, it was good to hear someone else's side of it as well. He was just going, I can't believe that number 3. What's he doing? Just kept taking the ball upfield and then getting nervous and then just not thinking about what he was trying to do. So, I mean, not just the defending, as I say, the distribution was so poor in that first half. And that's the thing, we're making a bad team like Shrewsbury look quite good. But yeah, I mean, look, we'll come on to it, I'm sure. And Nath will probably have something to say about Isted's run in a minute because I've gone on a bit. But just so frustrated in that first half at how poor it was. And I just think is it because Nathan's playing these players, not Jones and Reg? Maybe he's like, Jones and Reg are fine for next season. If they're injured or not, I don't know. But did these lot have more pressure on them to think, I've got to make an impact today, and like felt like that? But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, well, Harry Isted certainly did make an impact on Bloxham's legs, or possibly midriff. Like at one point, I thought he was going for his head when he came out. I mean, the timing. Again, I mean, we spoke when Ash was in goal. Towards the end of his time in goal, I was really worried about some of his decision making. He looked like he was at sometimes almost overcompensating to come out of his goal to try and make something happen. I think that's happened yesterday with Harry, and there's I think a corner that he punched away a bit unconvincingly. There was a couple of other moments, but the run, I mean, it didn't look great for Gillespie anyway. That he was struggling to, I think Gillespie hasn't hit the height since he's come in yet. We're hoping for more from a player we've signed to improve a defence, but Isted, I mean, came absolutely charging over to the left-hand side. There's no, even if Gillespie's been beaten to it slightly, there's no danger. The ball's by the corner flag, and he's come charging out and kung fu kicked Bloxham sort of in the midriff, and I at the time I thought there's a chance he could get red, not for like whatever you call it, like preventing a goal scoring opportunity, but because of the actual challenge itself, Nathan. But either way, he got a yellow, so that's fine. But the decision making is a bit concerning there.
Yeah, I agree. I naturally thought it was going to be a red, not because it was a goal scoring, just because it was just reckless and he was endangering an opponent. It was more than something for WWE. But yeah, I'm glad. Well, not glad. The things we spoke about already is what we've said all season. In my opinion, I think you need 2 centre halves and a goalie just for starters next season. So I think that's literally proved my point yesterday of everything. But yeah, it was just Ash done it a few times. Used to come out of the box and dilly dallied and stuff, and everyone just looks nervous. It looks like none of them trust each other. They don't really communicate with each other. I was watching Nathan Jones yesterday. He was going absolutely berserk. I think mainly at Gillespie when he had the ball, maybe because there were certain balls he was doing that were quite straight, and then Macaulay Gillespie was just looking at Hector, and they looked at each other and then shrugging. Like it's like, well, do you not know what you're supposed to be doing or anything? But yeah, I mean, back to Harry. I mean, he started well when he first came in. Obviously, when Nathan came in, and it's just the last couple of games he's had a couple of iffy moments, and I think not a lot of them are putting any thought into Nathan's mind to be there next year. But I mean, yeah, there's loads of stuff that's got to happen in the summer. But yeah, it was surprising he didn't get sent off. But yeah, we got away with one. But yeah, watching Gillespie run back brings back some memories back of watching Grant Basie run back in the day. For those who remember, running through Treacle, it was or things that I've seen ships turn quicker. But yeah, no, it was quite funny looking back at it. But luckily, we got away with it.
I think Grant Basie lives right near us, doesn't he, Binks? I see him down the shops every now and then. Outpace him on the way to the beans and that sort of thing. Yeah, Sam says, I thought Thomas had his worst performance yesterday. Andrew said that was the only time that Isted came out. Yeah, Stuart says, I mean, Thomas, Hector, Isted should all be replaced. Robert says, I wonder if Jones has told a few they aren't in his plans. That's why we see the performance yesterday. I mean, even if he hasn't explicitly said you're not going to be here next season, surely by now they'll be sitting around asking the agent, has Charlton rung up yet to talk about the contract? And the agent will be going, no. I don't know why. Yeah, Dudley says we should call Harry Isted Harry Headless. Yeah, Gary says, why was Thomas wasn't taken off? All Hell Let Loose says, didn't Gillespie get taken off against Stevenage because he was so poor? I can't. If he went off, there was a couple of games he went off when he was sort of on his way back from injury as well. So it's hard to tell with Nathan. Obviously, he doesn't always give away why he takes players off or why players aren't playing. I mean, Sam says, I thought Thomas had looked good, but then says, who out of the back line would we still want to see next year? I mean, I think maybe Thursday we could probably do a proper dive into what we've got in the squad, especially those going out of contract, and maybe we'll do some votes and stuff as to whether you'd keep them on for next season. So that'd be quite interesting. But I really think there's a lot of turnover needed in that end of the pitch, and yeah, in places in the squad. But Nathan has spoken about that a lot. I mean, his speech yesterday. Obviously, we'll dissect everything he says because that's what we like to do. But when he was standing on the pitch, said, "I promise you, next year we're going to put together a squad you can be proud of. And if you're just standing there as part of the current squad, sorry, Nathan, sorry you can't be proud of us right in front of us. But yeah, obviously really hope that Nathan's able to throw together that sort of squad for next year. I mean, both sides had chances to win it. That point was enough to keep Shrewsbury safe actually yesterday. And Paul Hurst was in good form when he came in. About the achievement they've had. Obviously, we've been safe for a couple of weeks, but yeah, the amount of draws in this unbeaten run, Ben, it's funny, isn't it? How we went 14 games without a win, and now we're 14 games unbeaten. It's just bizarre, two little runs, but obviously there was a slight overlap there with a couple of draws in both runs as well, Ben. But is that the 10th draw in those 14 games? I mean, it shows like there's maybe something to build upon there. Even with our defence, we haven't been able to go on to lose those games. But there's still work to do in aspects of the squad, because as good as that unbeaten run is, I think Nathan knows that you can't draw this many games. The highest draws in the whole EFL again.
Yeah, mate, we just don't create enough chances, do we? I mean, the best chance in that second half, and I'm not sure how he missed, and I know he was very frustrated with himself, was Anderson's header. I mean, great cross, free header, unfortunately heads it over the bar. And other than that, I can't think of many other chances we had. And you look at the talent we had on the pitch in Wickham and May, and then Kano and Aniki come on, we're just not getting the ball to him enough, and that is going to be a huge position for us to try and fill now. Either a number 10 or we need some wingers in. You can't just rely on Thierry Small. That's not his natural position. He's been doing quite well there. I mean, towards the end of the first half, he was getting the ball a bit more and done a few good crosses into the box, but he's 19 years old. He's naturally a left back. We're pushing him up the pitch because we've got no one else. So yeah, filling the void that Corey Blackett-Taylor left, and like Scott Fraser, I'm not going to say we're missing him, but someone who was supposed to be in that number 10 role to feed the strikers, it's going to be a massive position for us, as big as the defence, in my opinion, because in that second half yesterday, we had 2 shots on goal. I mean, that's not good enough when we're chasing the game. And one of them was the goal in Dobson, and I can't think of the other shot on target. It must have been a weak one at goal, but yeah, I think that's the key thing for us. We've got the attacking threats in the striker's position. I think that's one position we don't have to worry about as much. But it's how we're going to feed them. And there's big gaps in that midfield yesterday, from the defence to the attack. As much as I think Dobson makes a run in and Coventry does his job-ish, I guess, with what he's trying to do, I think Karoy kind of gets sucked into either up front or dropping back. And we haven't got that kind of shape that sets us up well, and they can easily target us. Well, especially yesterday, as it was just kind of small on his side, and then when Wickham come off, I think we aimed obviously for Aniki a bit more, but then that's just coward's way out, isn't it? It's just booting it up there and hoping for the second ball to drop. So yeah, for me, it's going to be massive for us to just try and get a really good winger in. Obviously, Luar doesn't seem the answer, does he? We haven't really seen much of him at all. But yeah, a proven winger. I mean, I know that Notts County, he'd be the guy I want. Jody Jones, I think his name is. I mean, his stats this season are unreal. But yeah, that's a massive position for us to fill. Just create chances. Otherwise, nothing. Yes, they got us excited, did it? But after Dobson scored.
Yeah, sadly not. Right, let's have a listen to what Nathan Jones had to say after yesterday's game, because it will sort of create some more discussion points. We're going to hear from Conor Coventry later on in the show as well. There's been a comment from Ricardo Riquel, I don't know how to say that, which we'll talk about as well. But yeah, let's hear what Nathan said on yesterday's game, and of course on the future of the Addicks skipper George Dobson. First draw here at the Valley. How did you see it today?
Again, I was disappointed really, because first half we just weren't asked. Second half we asked for reaction at half time. We got it, and we were much better. Created many more chances. We were more front footed. The crowd were, but first half we were too passive all over. Moved the ball slowly. We became that possession based, boring football team first half, whereas second half we were more us, and that's a disappointing thing, because we weren't aggressive and asked them to be aggressive. We tinkered with the system slightly today to try and penetrate a little bit more and to dominate more. But in terms of the levels, it was a definitive game of two halves.
You said you asked for a reaction at half-time. You got it immediately. I guess it was written in the stars that George Dobson would score on what would appear to be his last game here at the Valley.
Well, we hope it's not his last game at the Valley, but it is, and he's been brilliant. So the fans love him for certain reasons. I love him for different ones. He's been magnificent since I came in, and he was fitting that he did. Lovely through ball, but it was just we started the game with a bit more aggression, a bit more front-footedness. A bit more purpose about everything we did. And if we just do that, we'll win football games, because we don't lose football games. But when we are ourselves, then we're very difficult to play against, in terms of that. Last week at Cambridge, we should have been outside at half time. We dominated the game. We still had a chance later on to win the game. But we allow teams to get a foothold in the game, whether we concede or we concede silly goals and stuff. But we'll change that. We won't be this side next year. What we've had to do is... when I came in, we were a point above relegation zone. We had played 3 more games. So it was a precarious position, and we knew that. But we've now 11 points clear of it. So it shows that the players have really responded. The players have done what they've needed to do only since I came in, because obviously there have been high hopes of getting promoted this year. But for whatever reason, that didn't happen. So for the 15 games I've been in, or 14, 15 games, I think it's 14, 15 games since I've been in, they've responded. They really have. And that was our goal coming in, and we've achieved that.
Just on George, I mean, you heard that the fans were chanting, buy him back, basically. I mean, is there any mechanics of a deal that you could see him still here at the Valley that you understand? Because as far as we're concerned, he signed a pre-contract elsewhere, so the only way for him to come back here is if Charlton buy him. Is that the right way?
Look, we'll have to delve into that a little bit more in terms of stuff. But if it's signed a pre-contract and he's done. But look, we'll try everything we can. I want to keep him. He would have gone in January, but I didn't want him to go. I saw something in him that I felt, okay, we can use. He's excelled. He's done very, very well. He's been excellent, and not for the reasons why everyone thinks he's a good player, because I think he's a better footballer than people give him credit for. I think he's better in possession than he is out, whereas everyone thinks he's a number 6 who's a ball winner, but I'm not sure he is. So he's done brilliant for me, and look, I've really enjoyed working with him. He gets on with his job. So look, it's not about George Dobson, but he's been a big part in why we've managed to achieve or secure our status, and now we're able to move forward and build.
Yeah, you mentioned you changed formation today. Is that just a chance to try and see how different shapes would work with this side, thinking ahead to next season as well?
It's thinking ahead. We want to be proficient. We want to be front-footed. We want to control games, dominate games, but we were just too passive today, and we allowed them. And I regret that, because if we had just started how we had every other game and just gone, no, look, never mind next season, just make sure we just continue this season, then I think we would have won the game. But we still got to do the basics better. But look, we showed that we can react once again. It's got a load of character, this team. It keeps coming. It's just, one, when we get chances, we've got to take them, and then 2, we've got to be able to keep clean sheets, because 4 clean sheets in 45, you're not doing anything that apart from, lucky we can score goals, but we've got to be better. And whether that's personnel or work, both of those will happen. We'll give them work, but if we need to change personnel, we'll do that as well.
Yeah, I think Charlton were 14 games without a win when you came in. Now 14 games without a defeat, and it shows the effect that you have had on this side. And you're promising the fans in your speech at the end there about the rebuild that's going to happen this summer. But do you hope that does mean the groundwork has been laid at the end of this season?
Well, it has been, because for whatever reason, they went 14 games without a win. Confidence was low and so on. So sometimes it needs a fresh face. I don't know, but all I can say is from the day I came in, I've had a response. We were poor against Reading. For some reason, we conceded 2 from long throws, which kind of set the tone, kind of symptomatic of what's happening or what has been happening. But now we're a different team, but we still need to be better. We should be about 1.9, almost 2 points a game. That's what we should be. If you look at the results, because we haven't been lucky. Bolton was probably the only game that could have gone either way. I think all the other games we've controlled the games. We've been better in terms of our metrics, everything about it. We've been better, and that's the frustrating thing, that we've drawn games that we should have won. and that's what I'm disappointed with.
Can I ask you just because your answer to about George Dobson was a bit ambiguous. So do you think he will be playing Hungary next season, or do you think he'll be here next season? Do you want him to stay? Do you think he's going to go? What's your...
All I can say is, at this point in time, I believe he signed a pre-contract. I want him to be at this football club and playing for Charlton. Those are the two things. So the ambiguity of it is we don't know yet. So I'm not dodging the question. I will do everything I can to keep George Dobson at this football club. I did it in January to prolong his stay, and I would like to keep it. It's not just about George Dobson, but I want to keep as many good players as I can here because he's done very, very well for me. He's done very, very well. So, yeah, I do. So the only ambiguity of it is the fact that I just don't know. Those are the two things, the two facts. He signed it. I want to keep him. Now we need to find some common ground.
Thinking about a new kitchen or bathroom? Find professional, independent local installers with free home surveys, itemised quotes and protected payments, trading standards approved contracts, and workmanship warranties. The British Institute of Kitchen, Bedroom, Bathroom Installations accredits installers to ensure they are police checked, fully insured, and experienced. Take the risk out of home improvement. Visit bikbbi.org.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the River. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live on your Sunday morning. Just before the break there, we heard from the Addicks boss, Nathan Jones, following the final home game of the season, the 1-1 draw with Shrewsbury Town at the Valley. Obviously, a lot of comments about George Dobson's future, Nath. Have you taken anything further from what you've heard Nathan Jones saying there? It's clear. I've never seen anyone make it so clear they want a player to stay at a club, but also they don't know if they can.
Yeah, no, I've not taken anything more. Like he said, he's going to do everything in his power, which I think he would anyway. But even if he sort of knew it's unlikely that anything could happen, he's got to say that he wants to keep him if he really does, because obviously he likes him. That's quite obvious that he likes George Dobson. So he's got to say that, and then I suppose what he's going to have to do now is just leave it to the legal personnel, whoever picks this up, to see if there is anything that can be done or can't be done. And then, because Nathan's going to want to know sooner rather than later, because he's going to have to start planning. Well, he's probably already planning now, but he's going to need to know whether he's going to have George Dobson in that squad next year or not. If he's not, then he's got to think to get a replacement in, and how much is that going to cost? You've got to not only replacing a player, you're obviously replacing the captain. Whether or not, if Dobbo is everyone's choice of captain, that's another conversation. But it's a character in the dressing room. It's the work ethic and all the stuff that he gives in between. So, I haven't taken anything else. I just think he's just got to just wait and see what happens now. And then, obviously, for Nathan's sake, and that he stays. But I just can't see it. I just think it's going to be too much of a egg on your face moment. But we've had plenty of those in the past, so maybe why not have another one?
Yeah, exactly. That's sort of our club motto, really. Egg on face. Well, a couple of emails have come in. Chris Hartley says, "Evening all. What a depressing way to sign off at the Valley. The only good thing to come from today is Dobbo scoring, to see how Karoy had developed over the season, and yet more insight for Nathan Jones. I'm sure he's well aware of this already. That we would need to significantly improve the squad if we want to get anywhere near the top 6. Anyway, onwards and hopefully upwards." That's from Chris. And Gary Cooper says there's only one person to blame if Dobbo leaves, and that is Andy Scott. So that's Gary Cooper from Woolwich as well, laying the blame at Andy Scott's door on the situation with George Dobson. There was a couple of people pointed out yesterday. David said it as well. I believe Jones started without any loan players yesterday. All hell let loose made the same point. No loan players starting in the squad yesterday. Nathan was asked about it during the interview, so I think Richard's put it up on the SLP website. I didn't play the whole press conference yesterday, otherwise we would have been here for about 20 minutes because it was a really long one yesterday. But yeah, I mean, it's significant, I guess. I mean, obviously we're at that stage of the season now where we know those loans probably aren't going to be here next season, Ben. So that's part of it. But also, again, it comes down a little bit to the fact that overall our loans have been very disappointing this season.
Well, yeah, and as well, we decided to get rid of our manager and bring in another manager after the window had finished. And these aren't Nathan Jones players. He didn't have a choice on these players that came in, did he? So, yeah, I mean, there's some we laugh at just haven't even featured, have they? I mean, Farini just playing in the under-21s. Louis Watson played in the under-21s. Someone like Pan Kamara, as Nath, I know, is a big fan of him. I mean, we all were when he came in. He come with some big promise. Plymouth loved him. He did well at Ipswich, but then came with that injury record. And unfortunately, it reoccurred. I remember at Wigan when he pulled up, and that was really sad to see. And do we look at that going forward into next season and think, look, we can't. I mean, Farini's another one, wasn't he? I mean, he was injured all of this season until we took him. So, yeah, I mean, we've got to have players that are ready to go, like Raksaki, like we had before, players that are young and hungry and ready to go, because unfortunately we can't be a club that's going to go, okay, well, I know you're coming back from injury, we'll help you get there. But yeah, the loan market, it's one we can exploit because we've done well in previous years, as I just mentioned, but this year it's not been good. So I don't think we can look at any of them and go, I hope we get them back. I mean, yeah, it's just not worked this year for us, has it? So as I said as well, it's not Nathan's pick. I know Appleton was quite heavy on Farini coming in and bringing in those kind of players. They knew him before, but yeah, I fully trust in, as you said earlier, Nathan being a manager, not a head coach, to have a full say on these transfers. And yeah, I hope he does the deals early so we can have a good pre-season with him, because I remember, what game was it? Was it a second home game? And we brought out those 4 players that we'd signed, Abankwah, Tedage, Louis Watson, and I can't remember the other one. And it's like, that's too late, isn't it? So yeah, hopefully we can get some deals done early and these loan players to come in and have an effect like we've had previous years.
Done it again, I've been on mute. David says, again, these loan signings must have been down to Scott. Paul says, with respect, what has Andy Scott done of any value? I think we have a bit more discussion about. I see a few people talk about loans, because Nathan did say yesterday that he doesn't like loans. Like he doesn't like to develop other people's players. So I imagine there'll be a balance to be found between a manager who's not massively keen on loans, but we always have loans. So, and we've had people say that before, like prefer to have permanent players. Didn't Appleton say that, or did someone say that? I can't remember if someone said that recently, but it's certainly been said before. But obviously Nathan said it himself yesterday as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about the loan signings after we hear from a player who isn't a loan signing, actually. We've got obviously Conor Coventry joined the club on a permanent deal from West Ham on a free earlier on this season in January. I spoke to him after yesterday's game, just to get his thoughts on the 1-1 draw with Shrewsbury and his start to life in SE7.
Final draw here in the final home game against Shrewsbury. How did you see the game today?
I think the first half was disappointing. I think we was all really disappointed. Staff and players as a group, we felt our standards have been set higher than that. It's disappointing. I think second half we sort of seen more of the real us. We had more of our intensity and our aggression, and yeah, I think we could be more proud of the second half. So it's a little bit disappointing because we wanted to finish the home season with a win, and but yeah, we're still obviously got a nice unbeaten run going.
What did Nathan have to say at half time that got that reaction in the second period?
Yeah, he wasn't happy, and rightfully so, in fairness. I think he felt that he couldn't see what we've been working on, the things we've been working on, and sort of our identity as a team. And I think we all agreed really it wasn't us. And yeah, he just said, look, first and foremost, before we speak about anything, we have to up our intensity on our aggression and our pressing, the stuff that we've been really good at recently.
Yeah, where do you think that first half came from then?
I don't know. I think it can happen on certain occasions. It can happen. Obviously, we just need to sort of stamp it out and make sure it doesn't happen again. And yeah, I think we reacted well to it coming out in the second half. But yeah, I think we just go back to the drawing board and keep working on what we are.
A lovely moment, obviously, for George to score in front of the covered end on what could be his last game, I guess, for here at the Valley.
Yeah, hopefully not. Obviously, I'd love him to stay as well. But yeah, it was a good goal, great pass from Conor as well, and he took it really well. And yeah, like you said, it's a great moment in front of obviously all the home fans, and yeah, he deserves it.
Have you assessed your start to time in SC7?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I mean, it's been a bit up and down at the start, but yeah, I felt like I found a bit of consistency in the team and enjoyed this last little run. I wasn't too happy with myself today, but obviously that's football. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to the next season as well.
I guess you had to deal with the fact that the manager that signed you was gone quite quickly as well. Is that quite disruptive at the start of a time of a new club? Yeah,
of course. I mean, it was unexpected, but again, that's football. Things change quick, and obviously the manager's come in, and I've really enjoyed working with him and everything he stands for and that he demands from us. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next season with him, and hopefully we can achieve something.
Yeah, what is Nathan like to work under? Because obviously he's got reaction out the side since he's come in.
Yeah, I just think he's just really demanding of high standards of us in everything we do in training, and he sort of picks apart a lot, which for me is great because it's like nothing can go sort of unnoticed, and everything's really high level, high detail, and yeah, I'm really enjoying working with him and improving as a player and obviously as a team as well.
Yeah, I guess at this stage of the season, everyone starts to look ahead to what you hope you can achieve next year. I mean, what would you sort of set your sights for next season?
I don't want to put too much pressure on us, but I think the club that we have should be looking to win the league, really. I think we have a good squad here, and obviously who knows what will come in the summer, but I think we want to aim as high as we can.
And for yourself, obviously, what do you hope to achieve personally? You played a lot of games sort of in your career already, but for next season?
Yeah, get that promotion, get that title really, and be a part of a successful team at such a big club. And yes, obviously just play as much as I can and try and improve and get the best performances out of myself.
There we go. That's Conor Coventry speaking to myself after yesterday's game. I'll put it in the chat just to see how people have rated Coventry so far. Stuart has just said meh. JM says Coventry seemed to start well, but then kind of just disappeared. I forget he's playing sometimes. Riquale says Coventry currently struggling to put a finger on the real strength in his game. Gary says Coventry hasn't been good enough for him yet. Ben, how have you rated Conor Coventry so far at the start of his time?
A bit like that comment up there, meh. I mean, I can't really tell you, as someone else just said, I'm struggling to put my finger on what his strength is. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say I sit there and watch him make mistakes and I think he looks out of his depth, but I'm just not sure what he brings to that midfield. And as I said earlier, I think we're massively missing some creativeness in that midfield. Yes, I hear Nathan Jones saying Dobson's more of a ball playing midfielder and he can get forward a bit more, but we're not seeing that loads, and I don't know how well they complement each other in the midfield. I mean, Anderson is a very combative midfielder who gets stuck in and is around the place. But again, I just don't see how those three work in the middle for us. So whether we can bring in players that may complement his strengths, but at this moment in time, I can't say that I'm like buzzing for his name to be on the team sheet. And I think without him, we miss this or that. I'm unsure really what he properly brings to this side. But look, as you said in that interview with him, he's come in, Appleton had a role for him, I guess, and then Jones has come in. So you got to think that does affect a player and affect a team with different manager and different styles. So again, hopefully a pre-season under the belt for him, we can see this potential that West Ham fans tell us he's got. And hopefully we do look at that signing and think we did well there. But at this moment in time, we're not seeing it quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew says he can't defend. Joe reckons he hasn't settled into the team yet, but hopes with a rounded squad being built over the summer that he can become an influential player. And Dudley says similar. He's not there yet. Maybe Nathan Jones can get him up to speed in the close season. All hell let loose says it's lucky we got him for free because he isn't worth any more at this stage. Sam said no pressure from Conor Coventry there. Just got to win the league. That's all we got to do next season. Excellent. Apples. All hell let loose thinks it's funny that Apple's had a role set out for players, but we'll see. Right, it's guest fan time. I'm delighted to say that a fella who joined us on the Upbeats Walk yesterday is going to join us as today's guest fan. So, Gerry, hopefully you can hear us. How you getting on, my friend?
Fine. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. I mean, first of all, we haven't really spoken much about yesterday's Upbeats walk. Yesterday, we had the pleasure of doing the 9-mile hike alongside yourself. I mean, how did you enjoy yesterday? It was a bit of a walk in the park for you, someone who walks as far as you do every day. But yeah, how did you enjoy the whole occasion yesterday?
It's a great day. I mean, I think I've done every year except for the first one. I just love the sort of joy and enthusiasm that the Upbeats bring to the day. You know, when they're cheering you on, going past, bibbing the horn, and then when you enter the ground, they're telling you to run to cross the finish line. That it's just a great day for everybody, and the whole fan base every year just turn out and raise money for them to carry on for the following year.
Hi, Gerry.
Oh yeah.
Hello, mate. I'm just going to bring it back to the football for a sec, because I know it's probably a question that everyone's sort of discussing on the chats and stuff. Obviously, you've seen the team obviously throughout the season. How many players, if you can, would you bring in next season? Because obviously there's quite a rebuild, so I know we're conscious of time, but I mean, how many roughly sort of are you thinking? Are you thinking like double digits or?
Well, we're going to get double digits. Jones needs to be backed, but will we get that? I don't know. I think 6, 7. I don't know. I think we need a commanding goalkeeper, one that is vocal as well, coming out, controlling his own box and everything. A couple of centre halves. We need a forward. We've seen every season, the last few years, we've started with a good starting 11. A few games in, few injuries, a bit later, a few suspensions. We just don't have the depth in the squad really, and I think that's what we're going. If you're going to win promotion, you need that.
Morning, Gerry. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Right.
Yeah, I guess rather than talk about the game yesterday, because as I said earlier, it was blimmin' boring. What are your thoughts on the whole season? Next weekend, Player of the Year who would be your Player of the Season? I mean, I think it's quite obvious, but maybe who would be your second Player of the Season and that? Looking back at
it. Everyone knows how bad the season's been. But with Jones coming in, it's totally changed, really. Where we were looking, when he came in, we were 1 point above, and we played more games, and that really worried me, having played more games than everyone else. Because I thought everyone starts picking a few wins here and there, and we could be in it. And we were at Reading, we were in it for a while, weren't we? We was losing. We dropped down into that relegation zone. So it's not been a great season. But Jones has turned it round. He is a man manager. And, he's doing what we expect him to do, whereas the others hadn't done that. Player of the season, well, there's only one, and it's Alfie May, really, the goals he scored. And we talked about this yesterday. If we hadn't scored, if we hadn't had him, where would we be? The amount of goals he scored. And I think runner-up, it's obviously Dobson. I think just his performance week in, week out is, he's great. I'd like to keep him. Not sure he's the right man as captain. He leads by example, but sometimes you just got to fire a few rockets into players, and he's not that sort of person. So, I don't know. Really, we need somebody else to drive. Like I said, commanding goalkeeper, commanding centre half. We need that. We need to G them all up when they're on the pitch.
And there's an interesting question put to you in the chat by All Hell Let Loose. Jerry says, how many of the current squad do you think would get into Chris Powell's League One winning team?
2. Dobbo probably, and Alfie May.
Yeah, and that sort of sums up where the season is. I mean, so just on for next year, I mean, how confident are you then that this summer the rebuild will be a success? I guess you'll have to look back at and base it on what we've seen so far from the new ownership group, but then obviously take into account that Nathan Jones has come in as manager and rather than head coach. I mean, how do you see the summer going from this sort of early standpoint?
Well, Jones, hopefully he's going to have the pick and choosing of the players, whereas in the past that hasn't always been the way. So if he's identified players and he wants them, he should get them. I think. I can't. I'm still unsure about this ownership and what they're prepared to put in and drive on with. We'll just have to wait and see. Really, we need to get our business done early. That Jones has said that as well. You know, we need that. We don't want to be getting into the starting the season really and still looking for players.
Yeah, certainly. And then so just to round it off nicely then, so back to the Upbeats walk yesterday. So it's 50k raise. I mean, it shows that the generosity of the Charlton fans and everyone sort of came together at the ground to watch the Upbeats play, which was a brilliant occasion. And days like yesterday for me just reminded me what, you know, even when we have had a very disappointing season, what it's actually about to be a Charlton fan. Is that sort of why you keep coming back to these Upbeats walk every year?
Yeah. It's a good day out. Like I said, it's, you know, the whole their joy and their enthusiasm for the game is something, you know, you just look at it. We watch the Charlton games and we go, oh God, we've got to watch this lot, you know, but you just watch them play and they're just enjoying themselves so much.
Excellent stuff. Well, Gerry, it's been a pleasure to have you on as our guest fan this morning. I snared you quite early on the walk yesterday to get you to sign up. So yeah, thanks for coming on.
Didn't even get out the training ground.
No. Brilliant. Excellent. Well, that's Gerry who's joined us as this week's guest fan. Many thanks to him. Excellent stuff from Gerry there. So we've got a couple of minutes left. Just want to talk about a little bit. So the loan players and stuff that people were saying yesterday. So Stuart was saying earlier on, loan players. Curb said yesterday, we no longer seem to loan players like Cullen, Gallagher and Billick. You know, those sort of transformational players that have made a massive difference to us. Michael said on what Nathan said earlier about how we don't want to be developing other teams' players. Well, we certainly haven't done that with any of the loan players this season. I mean, getting that balance right next season will be really interesting, Nathan, because, like I say, Jones doesn't seem massively over excited about loan players, but I can't see how we go into a season without having any.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the question, isn't it? I think when with the players that Cullen and Billick and stuff, they were brought in to play in the system and they were first teamers. And you look at all of our loanees, they're all probably in the same sort of position. Fiorini, Watson, Kamara, they're all in the same position. So yeah, you've got to have a balance, but I'm sort of in similar sort of camp as Nathan. I think if we've got one of the best youth academies and stuff in the country, not the best, but one of, then we should be developing our own players. But the problem comes is when you've got to bridge the gap of not throwing the youngsters in too quick too soon and having a good competitive starting 11, which pushing you up into the higher echelons of the league. If you look at other teams like Crewe Alexandria, for example, another great youth setup, their fans aren't that demanding where they're having to finish top 6 every single season. So they'll have a little bit of rope to work with the youngsters. So it's about striking that balance. I think we probably will have one or two, but I'd rather those one or two be impact players or season whatever Nathan's doing. He'll have his base and a good 11, and the loan players will come in and just season a little bit of quality if we ever need to change a game or what. I'm not a big fan of relying on youth of loan players to be in our starting 11, because you can't build the season after unless you've got an option to buy, which people like Jez, who came in, was amazing, but we were never going to buy him the year after. So when that happens, you're never going to get him on a second year. So that's the problem we've got. But I sort of agree with Nathan to a large extent.
Yeah, Dudley says that we need a midfield general who can create a couple of strong, solid central defenders, from which one would be skipper for next season. David says, my concern is Jones might choose the players he wants to bring in, but will he be given enough funds to bring them in? And that I guess we'll learn a lot about the new ownership again this summer. You know, didn't go great last summer, if we're being honest. Obviously, they say they came in part way through it, but then again, there's been questions over the January transfer business. They certainly didn't hit the ground running, the players that came in January. Some of them improved a bit, but to the extent that we're flying up the league and winning games, not necessarily yet, Ben. So, yeah, this summer will be very, very enlightening to see exactly what this sort of new ownership really can achieve with the club.
Yeah, definitely. I think they kind of make the excuse that they did the deal late last summer, so they weren't able to get their feet in and make these transfers early. I've just been quickly looking through Portsmouth's side, and they've got a couple of loan players, one who's been a key player for them this season on loan from Norwich. But other than that, they pretty much had the same side as last season, and obviously have gone on to win the league and been up there all season. So as we had that alley from Not the Top 20 on saying that their run is similar to what we're on now with the unbeaten run and just setting the basics of not losing a game and being hard to beat. Do we look at the likes of them? I know Derby and Bolton have spent a bit more money than Portsmouth, to be honest, but having that continuity there and just trying to have a core through the middle of the side. But I think, as Gerry just said there, I think we need leaders in this side. I looked, when we conceded that goal yesterday, I looked at the squad, and apart from Isted shouting straight away when we conceded, everyone just put their heads down and walked away. I'm not saying I want people to be at the scruff of their necks fighting about why didn't you pick up that player when we conceded, but it's clear we miss leaders in this side. I think flipping Udo as well, that celebration, I think he's still celebrating now, isn't he? I wanted someone to flip and pick him up and bring him back to the halfway line. I was like, come on, mate, this is silly. What's he doing? But yeah, just some characters and leaders in this side. As much as we love Dobbo as a player, as I said, I'm not sure captain material to like kind of lead everyone and get everyone going. I think that's going to be massive for us to get going, because I look at that Portsmouth side and I think they've got experienced leaders in that side that probably helped them over the line this season.
Excellent. Right, we've run out of time on this week's Charlton Live. Hope you've enjoyed the show. So don't forget, next Sunday we won't be doing a live show at 10 o'clock in the morning, because next Sunday's the Player of the Year dinner. So we'll be recording our show at the Player of the Year dinner. So it won't be live. It will come out as a podcast afterwards. So this is our last Sunday morning show of the season. But we are back on Thursday, of course, to look ahead to the final game of the campaign away at Wycombe, and we'll have a big discussion about those players who are coming out of contract and have some votes and that about who we'd like to keep. Right, thanks to Gerry, who joined us as guest fan earlier on. Really enjoyed his input, and obviously walking around the Upbeats walk yesterday with him as well. Massive thanks to everyone who's joined us in the chat. Hope you've enjoyed the show this morning. Big thanks to Nathan and to Ben. A pleasure to see your beautiful faces as always.
Oh,
cheers,
thanks,
boys.
mate.
That's very, very nice saying it, Ben.
Yeah,
should see what it says in the private chat.
Yeah, very generous of me, wasn't it? Right, this has been Charlton Live. I'm Louis Mendez. This is Charlton Live, sponsored by the British Institute of Kitchen, Bedroom and Bathroom Installation. We shall see you again on Thursday evening.